Here's the thing that I really want you to understand. There's a lot that you don't know at this human level. And sometimes this makes us feel uncomfortable because we think that not knowing is a problem, that uncertainty means that something is wrong, that if we don't have clarity, we must be off track, that if something feels unclear or difficult or confusing, then the answer must be to think harder, to analyze more, to push ourselves, to do something. So when we don't know what's happening, when we don't know how something is going to work out, when we don't know what the next step is, we tend to assume that there's a problem, that we're missing something, that we're not doing this properly, that if we were more evolved or more disciplined or more spiritually advanced, we wouldn't feel this way. But that isn't true. The truth is that at the human level, you can only ever see a very small portion of the whole picture. That isn't a limitation that you need to overcome. That's simply the nature of being human. You're standing inside this world looking out through a very narrow window. You're perceiving reality from a single point in time, from a single location, from a single set of experiences. You see fragments, you see snapshots, you see pieces. You can only see what's already happened and what's happening right now. You can't see the future. You can't see which doors are quietly opening behind the scenes. You can't see which paths are being closed to move you away from something that wouldn't have fulfilled you. You can't see all the infinite possibilities that are available to you. You can't see all the different versions of reality that exist beyond the one you're currently experiencing. You can't see all the ways something could unfold. You can't see how many parts there are from where you are now to where you want to go. You can only see this tiny little sliver of what has made its way into your experience so far. And that's it. That is all the information your human perspective has access to. So when you try to make decisions or plans or strategies based on only that tiny little sliver, it's no wonder things can start to feel difficult. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because as limited as your perspective is at the human level, there is another level of you that isn't limited at all. There's another level of you that can see the whole picture. And that level is God, or Source, or Infinite Intelligence, or whatever name you prefer to use. It really doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is that this level exists. And this level can see the full picture. It knows exactly where you want to go. It knows what you truly desire, even when you haven't consciously articulated it yourself. It knows what will truly fulfill you, and it already has the perfect path lined up to take you there. It's not necessarily the most obvious path. It's probably not the path your logical mind would come up with. But it's the path that is genuinely and absolutely the most perfect and the most ideal for you. It knows which people need to come into your life and when. It knows which relationships need to end. It knows which situations need to rearrange themselves. It knows which desires need to mature a little more before they get fulfilled. It knows which delays are actually beneficial. It knows which disappointments are actually redirections. And here's something very important to understand. Right now, you're here having this experience as a human. And right now, you are also God. You're not in one state or the other. You're both at the same time. The human part of you is inside the experience, while the God part of you is creating the entire field. It's arranging, it's coordinating, it's orchestrating, It's moving pieces into place in ways your human mind could never predict or understand. And most of the struggle people experience comes from confusing these two roles. It comes from trying to orchestrate things from the human level, from trying to do God's job as a human. The thing is, you have free will. You're free to choose absolutely anything. You're free to decide what you want to experience. You're free to decide what you will no longer tolerate. You're free to select the reality you want to move into. You as God gave yourself that power. According to your faith, be it unto you. Whatever you assume, you make true. That's not poetic language. That's not symbolic. That is literal. Your assumptions are instructions. They're settings. They're selections. And once they're chosen, reality reorganizes itself around them. So yes, you have an incredible ability to manifest whatever you choose. But here's what you need to understand. At the human level, you don't have the full picture. You don't know every implication. You can't see every moving part. You don't understand every chain of events that would need to unfold. You don't know which people need to shift, which situations need to change, or which things need to fall away first. You don't know what must happen before your desire can arrive in a way that actually matches what you truly want. Your rational mind simply doesn't have the capacity to hold all of that. And it's not meant to. This is why so many people feel exhausted when they're trying to manifest what they want. This is why they feel drained, why they feel tense, why they feel like they're constantly working on themselves. This is why things feel heavy, why they feel complicated, why they feel overwhelming, why they feel like hard work. Because you're trying to do something at the human level that you're just not designed to do. So I want to give you a very simple but powerful rule that you can begin to live by. If something feels heavy or big or difficult, then it's not your job to do at this human level. That heaviness isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that you're trying to do something at the human level that it is God's job to do, not yours. Trying to figure out the how at the human level will always feel heavy because your human mind is trying to compute something that it can't possibly compute. It's trying to map infinite intelligence with a finite tool. So when you feel that pressure, that tension, that sense of, I have to figure this out, that is not a call to push harder. That is your cue to delegate. It's your cue to hand this back to God, to the bigger part of you, to the level that actually can hold it. Your job isn't to orchestrate the whole thing. Your job isn't to engineer the outcome. Your job isn't to mentally simulate every possible path. Your job is simply to choose. Very firmly, very deliberately. You choose love. You choose well-being. You choose fulfillment. You choose freedom. You choose prosperity. You choose the experience that you want to have. You choose the reality that you want to be in. And once you choose it, you stop negotiating with it. You don't keep checking whether it's possible. You don't downgrade it to make it feel more realistic. You don't keep asking, but how will this work? Because that question is usually the first sign that you're stepping out of your role. So instead, you do this. You choose the outcome and you drop the strategy. And this doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop wanting what you want. It doesn't mean you pretend the desire is important. You're meant to be attached to the outcome. You're meant to want it. You're meant to desire it. What you mustn't be attached to is the path. The path isn't your responsibility. And the moment you try to take responsibility for it, it will start to feel heavy. So heaviness becomes a kind of guidance. Instead of resisting it or judging it, you can simply notice. This feels hard because I'm trying to do something that isn't my job. And then you can consciously hand it back. You can say internally, I know what I'm choosing and I trust God to create it for me. And then you can relax. Not because you've given up, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've put the dependency where it belongs. And this is also why action taken from the state of the wish fulfilled feels so different from action taken to make something happen. Action taken from your desired state feels light. It feels natural. It feels obvious. It's not something you have to force yourself to do. It's something that you actually want to do. Whereas action taken to try to make an outcome happen feels pressured. It feels urgent. It feels heavy. It feels like you're dragging yourself forwards. And the difference isn't the action itself. It's whether you believe that it is the action that is responsible for producing the result, or whether you know that it is God that is creating the result, and therefore all you have to do at the human level is walk along the path that God has laid out for you. Simple as that. When you let God handle the orchestration, action arises naturally. You don't need to force it. You don't need to overthink it. You don't need to plan 10 steps ahead. You simply notice what feels right in the moment and you follow that. And this is why things often make sense in hindsight. At the time, something might feel like a setback or a delay or a mistake. But when you continue to live from the state of your wish fulfilled, you eventually see that it was all part of a perfect plan. A plan that your human mind couldn't see yet. And this is where real trust develops. A grounded trust that says, if this feels too heavy for me, then it's not my job to do. If this feels unclear, it's because clarity isn't required at this human level. If this feels out of my control, it's because it's not something my human self is meant to control. And when you live this way, life stops feeling like something you have to wrestle into place. It starts to feel cooperative. You stop fighting the current. You stop second guessing every turn. You stop trying to micromanage reality. Instead, you choose. You assume that you get to have what you want, and you trust God to create it for you. And from that place, manifesting what you want stops feeling like effort. And it starts feeling like a partnership between you and God. So if you take anything from this video, let it be this. Choose the outcome, drop the strategy. Let God do the part that only God can do. And life becomes a whole lot easier when you live this way. Not because nothing ever challenges you, but because you stop trying to control things that were never your job to control. And when you live life this way, what you want unfolds more beautifully, more naturally, and more perfectly than anything that your human mind could ever come up with. I promise you. Okay, and on that note, that is it from me for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.